Life is a daily presentation of who we are, of what we aspire to be, of what we have become. Sometimes we convey who we are with words or with a silence. And life and its teachings has impacted wisdom to an extent that sometimes if you are really being vigilant and observant, somebody's silence will convey meaning to you. If you're feeling lonely, and you're having thoughts that are hurtful to you and others, or you begin to have suicidal thoughts, forget about what society thinks and says about people who have thoughts like that, or what you have read about stigma and other things. Speak out and speak up. Help could be near. Sometimes we talked about calling a friend, calling a family member, even taking a brisk walk and embracing the air and smelling the roses. Sometimes you could go a step further and you could need medical counsel or professional assistance to mitigate the thoughts that bring about hurt and prefer a solution. Welcome to Weekend Deal. My name is Thelma Obaze and we're talking about loneliness. We are not lonely over here because I always have company. Oh, the pretty, the awesome Patience Aba is here as usual. And that's why I can never be lonely on Weekend Deal.
Thelma is a showstopper any day. Now she just...
Hello, beautiful.
Oh, hey, good morning, girl. I was just listening to you and I was taking it all in. Loneliness is a normal human emotion that happens from time to time. It could be occasioned by happenings in one's life. But the truth is, getting up, you have to be intentional. You have to be deliberate. Like I always say, if you want to have a good friend, be a good friend. If you want to have an amazing neighbor, you yourself be an amazing neighbor.
This is the time when we invite Deep. Our friend Deep. You know how we welcome him. Namaste. Yoga.
Raise your knee, walk towards your trunk. Namaste. Hello to everyone. I am Diptiranjan Mohanty, a trained yoga teacher from High Commission of India, Abuja. She is Tinasi. Now we practice Nadi Shodhana Pranayama, alternate nostril breathing or psychic network purification. Those who are suffering from fever, flu, cold, they should not practice this pranayama. Now sit in any cross-leg posture or any meditative posture. Hands on the knees. Keep your head, neck and back in a straight line. Relax your whole body. Now close your right nostril through your right thumb. Breathe in through left nostril. Breathe out through left. Breathe in. Breathe out. Do it 5 times with closed eyes. Close your left nostril through your ring finger. Now breathe in through right nostril. Breathe out through right. Inhalation and exhalation should be 1:1 ratio. Don't make sounds when you inhale. Don't make sound when you exhale. Slow and deep in long inhalation. नाड़ी प्राणायाम, psychic network purification. It removes minor blockages from nose and the flow of breath in both nostrils become more balanced. Breathing through the left nostril tends to active the right brain hemisphere, and breathing through the right nostril activates the left hemisphere. So it balances both the hemisphere of our brain. It reduces stress, anxiety and insomnia. It calms down our mind and increases the oxygen level of our blood. Thank you for joining this yoga session. See you next time. Namaste. Raise your knee, walk towards your trunk.
They're always stretching us out and breathing us into life and making us even more healthy. Now, you know that our conversation since yesterday has been on loneliness. We'll go on our first break. When we come back, we'll delve deeper, start our conversations as our guests will join us, and then the show proper will begin. Don't go away.
We began our conversation talking about loneliness, and it was quite revealing to find that even in the urban centers, many people are lonely or they choose solitude over mixing or spending time with groups of people. Today, Francis takes us on another detour to explore another agenda talking about loneliness and perhaps look at the digital disconnect amongst other things. Francis, what else did you find?
Humans are inherently social beings, wired to seek connection and belonging. However, various factors such as social stigma, lack of meaningful relationships, and fear of rejection can contribute to feelings of loneliness.
Loneliness comes from what you have taken in. It is not what you say and what happens in your environment that you see and hear. It's a combination of what you have already taken in, your experience that you have built over the years, of what you have heard, what you have felt, and what you have seen. So when people are reacting to loneliness, they probably are reacting to what is inside them, not what they are seeing outside. So if you want to know what causes loneliness, you have to ask the person questions. As a counselor, I have seen a lot of people who opened up to tell me about the walls, what create walls in them. So when you see somebody manifesting loneliness, go close to the person and ask questions. If you are able to ask the right question in an empathic way, you might get the person opening up to you and you'll be able to solve the problem.
The loneliness parents feel when their children grow up and leave home is an experience that many face as part of the natural progression of life. While it may seem inevitable, it is not insurmountable.
Parents should not attach themselves to only their biological children. Growing up, our parents are parents to almost everybody in the environment. So you see them showing love to their neighbors' children. In fact, it's like a community life. So when children leave, you must replace them with people you go to church with that are children. If you're able to replace them with all those interactions that you create around you, then you don't miss the children. But if the children leave and you're alone and you don't have the social skills to actually relate to people around you, you will be lonely at the end of the day. So a father is not a father to only his biological children. In Nigeria, in Africa, a father is a father to a community.
Nigerians living abroad often grapple with a unique form of loneliness amidst unfamiliar people, food, and cultures. Despite being surrounded by others, they may feel disconnected from their homeland and its familiar traditions.
Every society has a way of checking themselves from creating loneliness. In Nigeria, we don't have old people's home. In civilized environment where your children leave you, you actually can be very lonely. And what a lot of them do, and government has provided for them to ensure that people don't get lonely and die, is to create old people's homes. So when you know that you have gotten to the stage where you don't have anybody coming to ask for you, you retire and call government to take you to one of the old people, and they put you in a hostel where you have other old people. And in those environments, they will play games, they watch films together, they do until they die. That environment has created, but in Nigeria, it has not been created. You must create consistently the people that will be around you, and you must know how to network with people around you. Every Nigerian has neighbors. You don't lack neighbors. Be nice to people around you. You will always have people around you. And I also teach people how they can actually create a network by joining societies where they belong to. their community, the profession they belong to, the church groups that they want to belong to. So in your old age, you have a lot of followership. You have people inviting you for weddings and marriages, and you'll be able to sustain social relationship with human beings around you.
In Nigeria's culture, the concept of community and interconnectedness is deeply ingrained, emphasizing the importance of collective support and shared experiences.
If you are working in an office, relate well with people. If you are working in a home, relate well with your neighbors. If you are operating in a religious environment, be in the societies where you can be meeting people, because human beings are the people that we need to relate with. Money does not solve problems in society. Education does not solve problems. But if you know how to relate to human beings, you can relate to talented people, you can relate to people that have money, you can relate to people that have power. The gift that you have to relate to human beings is to be a giver. If I see somebody that is lonely and quiet, there's something that is in his mind that is affecting his coming out. If you don't solve that problem, you can't solve it just talking to the person in the surface.
By nurturing strong relationships, pursuing personal interest, and embracing cultural connections, individuals can navigate the depth of loneliness and discover a renewed sense of belonging and purpose in their lives. Our focus on Weekend Deal today will be on loneliness.
Loneliness is a thing, and we must pay attention to what it causes. I mean, it's a common sight to go to a family gathering or see a family gathered on a table and everyone is on a device. They are together but disconnected. What can we do about this? Meanwhile, there are three types of loneliness. We have social loneliness, emotional loneliness, and existential loneliness. Loneliness also has been described as a social pain that craves social connection. The next contribution will tell us more as it focuses on youth loneliness and digital disconnect.
The average person spends more than 4 hours a day on their phones. Experts warn that excessive use of mobile phones, including time spent on social media and gaming apps, can lead to screen addiction, which can negatively impact mental health, causing anxiety, depression, sleep deprivation, and loneliness. The blue light emitted by screens can suppress melatonin, the hormone responsible for regulating sleep, making it harder for us to fall asleep and stay asleep.
The hustle and bustle of life trying to put the meal on the table, it's fast creating loneliness for these children, and that's why on very many occasions they resort to their TikTok, to their social media variables and all of that. But we would like to say that when parents are at home, they should deliberately make time out to interact, interface, to be able to intervene in basic issues that has to do with these children, so that we can blend technology with culture.
This shift, accelerated by the COVID-19 pandemic, has significantly increased social isolation and loneliness.
Feeling lonely is inevitable. It is part of the variable that comes with life and lifestyle. At the moments whereby I feel lonely, I just engage myself. I get up and I get involved in doing one thing or the other, and before I know it, it wears out. And being alone does not make me lonely. There's a difference between aloneness and then loneliness. You could be in the midst of people and be lonely. I can be alone and not be lonely.
In the broader context, health professionals, policymakers, and community leaders must recognize the significant impact of social isolation and loneliness to health.
As important and as vital an ingredient your mobile phone is, or your iPad, or your laptop, it's important that you don't make it your main focus on a daily basis. Little matter how well-grounded you are, you will start to see that you talk differently, you act differently. In fact, you start having challenges. So make time for real things to happen in your life. Our guests are here with excitement and jollification. We want to begin to introduce them. Let's meet, greet, and welcome Ambassador Oluwatoyin George Taylor. She's a consultant and a global ambassador. We'll see her profile, then we get to meet her.
Hello, everybody. Good morning. She's so elegant. I went like, oh, she's just so pretty. Okay, our next guest is a professor. He is Professor Oba Adenuga Olusegun Adeleke. Let's virtually meet him.
Hello, Prof.
Yeah. Hello, good morning.
Welcome to Weekend Deal.
Okay, so let's cut straight into our conversational cake. Let's dig into the middle of it. And I will start with Dr. George Taylor. Yes, we're in the world where we are so connected. I mean, the world is described as a global village. It just means that there are no borders. You can reach out to anybody. Yet, people are increasingly getting lonely. How would you describe loneliness?
Well, I think loneliness is like a state of your mind. It's a situation where you feel isolated, as if nobody really cares. And you feel all alone, even though the whole world has over 7 billion people. It's as if you're just on your own. That is how I see it. And you have to come to yourself. You have to have your self-worth. You have to be able to know what makes you going and go for it so that you don't end up being very lonely.
Prof, on the other hand, we have heard that it's normal to feel lonely at some point in time, every now and again, but if it continues to linger, then perhaps you need to speak up and speak out. I see that you've been doing a lot of work about counseling. Have you ever focused on loneliness? Is it a challenge that many face in your experience?
Yeah. Loneliness is a challenge and it's inevitable. And everybody or everyone, experience loneliness at one point or the other in life. But the issue is this: the way you handle loneliness, will make you to get out of it on time. So in most cases, people that experiences the feelings of loneliness, validate their life by, looking at the other person's response. We shouldn't be. Well, you should have to be yourself.
Dr. George Taylor, do you think that because a lot of people are fake, people are not real? Okay, let's even take for instance, people who follow on social media. They give this impression that their life is full, everything is real. You meet an old friend, you're not connecting on the real level. She wants to give you the impression that I'm also okay. And then because of that, some people who are not confident in themselves, they withdraw and begin to think that, goodness, I just met Tera yesterday, she was flying her own private jet. I took an Okada to her house, and then you decide. You see that are people getting increasingly lonely because of the fake life people are putting out there, so people cannot connect. Because if I know that me and you took the same okay, I'm sure we'll connect on that level. Are people being lonely because of the fake life out there, social media and all?
Well, that is why I said to you that you must have your own self-esteem. And you must not feel intimidated because somebody is telling you anything about themselves. Over the years, I have found out that many people are fake. They do not tell the truth. They tell you stories, but when you dig deeper, you find out that it's all a lie. Now, the private jet you were talking about, some of them, they borrow money to just rent it for a trip. And then they sit in it and they do all kinds of things, say, no, this is my private jet and stuff. Trying to get the other people, envious, jealous of what? And at the end of the day, if you allow it to sink into you, you go into depression, you're going into all this for nothing. It's all fake. Many of them are not real. So we need to be very, very careful here so that you do not allow anybody to throw you into depression.
To subjugate you.
And just like Professor said, the way you handle your own loneliness will determine whether you're a winner or you're a loser.
You know that there's two people. I love Tina Turner, but I've been guided by the friendship of Oprah Winfrey and Gail over 40 years. I don't know, how can somebody's wealth matter to me? I raise you up and I praise you with the hope that my time will come. Or if I don't know you, I just smile and I walk past. It's your hard work, it's your life. Whether it's fake or real, how can it work to the point where I will not be worried and to be showing? It's amazing, honestly, because the truth is that some people will be more successful than others in life. That's it. It was never meant to be the same for everyone. But anyway, while we ponder on that, we're going to Oshobo Patient. And we're told over there that there's focus on rural solitude as well as community communication. We did learn yesterday from Dr. Esther that community has a role to play. Either you go out to them or you let them come into you. Either way, let's go to Oshobo and see what they found.
The world over, loneliness is not a new phenomenon. It is an age-long concept depicting the situation of being alone or withdrawing oneself into a seclusion for various reasons.
Psychological or mental loneliness, this is a situation in which, yes, one may be in the midst of a crowd, but the person doesn't feel belonging to that crowd, or nobody in that crowd reckons with the person. The person finds himself, though in the midst of many people, but the person still feels is not reckoned with, that he is all alone.
It is ironically believed that solitude affects only those in the cities, without considering the fact that blood flows in the body of the rural dwellers, and this makes them non-exceptional, because rural areas have a unique set of circumstances, such as higher incidence of poverty, greater transportation problems, and lack of social services and infrastructures that can exacerbate their loneliness and isolation.
I want to say that when you feel that you are not acceptable in a place, you want to be lonely. You will not want to be interacting with people. And there are a lot of life challenges that can make somebody to feel lonely. Loneliness is what I call a sign of acclaiming self-dignity to oneself by him or herself without interference with other people.
It is observed that loneliness is being experienced by all and sundry. Its effects are enormous and multivarious.
Loneliness is almost, it's always one of the very first stage in the journey down the line of depression, line of it starts with fear, then from fear you slip into anxiety. If the anxiety is uncontrolled, and most of the time it remains uncontrolled, then it slips into illusions. From illusion now, you become extremely lonely. And if you get to the stage of loneliness, only God can save you. And unless people come from outside of you, you hardly can save yourself, because at that stage you have become helpless.
A pertinent question to ask is how to curb the continuous existence of loneliness and how to mitigate its effect on the people and the society at large.
We do visit them, we do assist them in terms of financing, and we do encourage them, we do persuade them to be closer to their God.
One major area being identified in the course of this work on how to reduce the menace of loneliness is community connections. They were formed through shared experiences, common interests, or simply by living in the same area.
They should try as much possible to move closer to the peoples around them, so that when they have good or bad things to share, they will only interact together so that they can share different opinions.
We cannot share our problem to anybody.
Building a strong community connections is pivotal to reducing the menace of loneliness and will go a long way to sustaining the physical and mental health of individuals as well as promoting the community at large.
The community has a whole role to play. Together we can be strong, together we can beat loneliness. Our next guest, a very beautiful woman, she's walking in right now. But you see, it's not about being fashionable later. She's walking in. She's walking in
right on time.
She's walking in. All right, she is Chioma Moma.
Hey, good morning.
That she will say hello to you.
Fantastic lady. We'll get to meet her properly after we go on this short break. Keep your messages coming in. We have a full house. Don't miss out on any bit of the excitement and the knowledge.
Welcome back. If you just joined us, it's been all about loneliness, and the delectable, beautiful lady that just walked in here is a barrister, a life coach, and she'll be joining the conversation. So I'm turning to her for her first question. Yeah, welcome.
Thank you so much.
It's all about loneliness, and we're talking about it. And do you think the way we live these days in our residential areas, where everybody is reminding themselves, children are not interacting, do you think it has anything to do with the increasing number of people who are lonely?
Absolutely, it has a lot to do with it.
Okay.
Because we're so scared, and with good cause, things have changed. There's a lot of danger in society, but we're now overdoing it, where you don't even know who lives next door to you. And there have been issues where you have something wrong, and there's no one to call because you don't know anyone in your immediate environment. You need a lift, your car has broke down, your neighbor will drive past you because they don't even know that they're your neighbor. So it has had a huge impact on loneliness. People you see, and you have this retired couple who lives next door to you, you don't know who they are, their kids are abroad, and you're right there. You can actually have that mother or father next door to you, because we're all keeping to ourselves, we're all being very independent. It comes with development, but it's not a very good thing, and we need to balance it out. Where we have that communal feel that Africa is known for, and we're able to relate and connect with those around us.
Okay. Let me talk to you, ma'am. You know, I know now we're moving to the urban centers. So that community feel we used to enjoy where you can just walk into somebody's house, what they're preparing, you just join themselves on the table. It's really lacking, especially in a place like Abuja, where we come from different parts of Nigeria. So is it possible to bring that community feel to the urban center in a town like ours? And how do we start it? Not everybody will warm up to you when you want to open up.
Well, one thing I find with Abuja, I used to live in Lagos, and then I moved to Abuja, but I've been in Abuja now for almost 15 years. One thing I find with Abuja is that Abuja is very mixed, and the different states have different cultures. I've been very opportune to work a lot in the north. I worked extensively in the north. I've been to nearly the whole of Nigeria. But what I find out is that, like my estate, my neighbor on my right is from Adamawa State. The one in front of me is an Igbo woman. The one next door is from Jos. Then we have Maiduguri. So sometimes all these different culture makes it very difficult in Abuja for this kind of community feel. But notwithstanding, I believe very strongly that your neighbor is your best friend.
Yes.
Because if anything happens to you, before your relatives even know, your neighbor are the people that will sort you out. So what most, most communities do now is that they have like a WhatsApp group, because Abuja is basically a place where a lot of people are civil servants, people are busy sorting themselves out. So you have a sort of WhatsApp group so that if there's a problem, you can put it on the group and people can read about it. But you can still go an extra mile. Knock on somebody's door. Hello, good evening, how are you? Now, if the person responds, fine. If he doesn't, well, you've done your part. So this is the only way I see it. And by so doing, you find out that some people respond, and there are some people who just want to be by themselves, and you respect their
space.
Space.
Okay, fine. Prof, I know you are a prof, and then you deal with a whole lot of young people. It's amazing to know that. I mean, growing up during our time, we're young. We didn't think about. We're not that deep to be lonely. I don't think we're that deep to be lonely. We're just happy people jumping around. But these days, the children we're raising now, the Gen Zs, they are deep, and it's a whole lot of challenge. If you're a Gen Z mother or father here, you know exactly what I'm talking about. How do we deal with loneliness among children? They get lonely.
Very.
You'll be shocked. A little child is telling you, nobody gets me. I'm like, hello?
Who are you?
How long have you wanted that they will get to people? Should I get the cane out there? But it doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work that way. You must. So how do we deal with these young people talking about loneliness in the midst of the plenty their parents are struggling to provide for them?
Yes, the parents are only providing for the need of the children. They are not bounded together. You see, today the issue of social media, it's a problem in our society, even at home.
Not a plus.
Couples.
Not a plus.
It's a plus, but it has its own negative side. And the negative side on the issue of the children, there are many than even the positive one. Because we have cyberbullying, whereby you see they will just get your information about you, and they use it against you. Even some children who experience that will not even tell their parents, suffering in silence, and may become socially withdrawn, leading to loneliness. So those areas have to be looked into. My counsel here is that we should be able to draw our children to ourselves, talking to them. The place of storytelling should be encouraged at home. In those days, they gather, our parents gather us together, and they tell us stories about society, even about the town, about the knowledge you come from. All these things are fast eroding.
People need a lot of counseling. And when you go and bore your neighbor, somebody helps you the first time, second time, and you're not doing something, they get fed up of you. And so when you call, they don't really want to
take the
call. So that could actually make you feel
Feel
very
bad,
lonely
yes.
and bad about yourself. But it's a passing phase. There's no battle that lasts forever. You need to believe in yourself. In fact, you don't need a person to make you happy. You have to be a happy person yourself. Nobody can make you. You have to be determined to be a happy person. I remember when my husband died many years ago. I said to myself, I am going to be a very happy person. And I put in all the effort to be happy. I worked very hard. I took, extra jobs and everything. And I'm good for it today. So the way I look at it is that being happy is a determination within yourself.
Absolutely.
And then the poverty thing, you have to sit down and strategize. Ask God, think for yourself, what can I do to make my life better? It is not always very interesting, especially now that things are very difficult for other people, that you'll be going to them all the time, give me this, give me that. You have to sit down, and you can be very surprised. With very little capital and with determination, there's a lot you can do for yourself.
Okay. Prof, let me ask you to address this, if I may. Someone says, well done, presenters. Thank you, guests. We're getting enlightened. I said, but what about a situation where you want to live in peace with your neighbors, but they are not cooperating? Everything you do, they see something wrong in it. Please address this. Thank you.
Yeah. We have theory of individualism by Charles Darwin. You see, what you see and be happy, others may not see it and be happy. The way you resolve issues, others may not see that way. What I just want to say as a Yoruba man, we are taught when you greet somebody and he didn't respond, continue greetings.
Oh, okay.
There will be a point in time where you will respond. And if you're now coming back to apologize, and friendship will be more cordial. You see, we should not just take, they need help.
Yeah. Okay, so for the thoughts, we've talked about loneliness, and one thing that can occasion loneliness is when you move from where you stay to somewhere far away, to a foreign land. The food is different. You see strange faces. You say good morning, say in it, and you're like, okay, where does in it come into this conversation? You go back to the house, loneliness in diaspora. Don't worry, Sister got us covered. Let's watch this and have the conversation.
I'm a student at the UC Berkeley Graduate School of Journalism. I needed a career shift. I just felt like I got into that point in my life where I needed to increase my earning capacity. People tend to value you by the name on your certificate. So that's why I left Nigeria. And why did I come to the US? Because that's where the opportunity presented itself. I've not lived out of Lagos, even in any other place in Nigeria, for say more than 2 or 3 months. This is like my first international flight out of Nigeria as well. Basically, I've never had a routine sleeping pattern, so I can't say that affected me, but a lot of times I would generally love to sleep when the clock is 12-ish in Nigeria, which is like between 3 and 6 here. I'm most times awake around midnight time here. And I don't know if it's a factor of jet lag because it has extended too long for me to refer to it as jet lag. I would usually need the help of a student worker who may or may not be able to speak English very well, may or may not, most times do not understand how we take our food choices. So I'm wanting to have rice and stew, and then the stew is plenty than the rice. There's only one thing I miss back home, to be honest. Waking up on a weekend and calling someone out and say, oh, let's chill. That's practically, I think, the only thing I miss. And I've tried to think about it, but it's an undefinable feeling for me. I kind of feel like my body came here, but my spirit did not. So it just feels like a lot of times I spend time on the phone talking to people back home. But if you ask me, like, did you really miss home? What's that one thing you miss? I'll just say it's the fact that you can be tired of work and you can just call someone and be like, oh, let's go on a date, something. Naturally, most of the friends that I've made are either artificial or organic. So artificial is virtual connections. Organic is like you met them at the office and stuff. Here, I mean, this is everybody seems to be busy with their life, and I've not found it easy making friends even amongst Nigerians as I did back home. I have a lot of long conversations to get through downtimes, and a lot of the time I just found myself talking through those downtimes with my friends, the friends that I built back home. California is the most expensive state in the US. It's annoyingly expensive. If you are thinking of settling down here as a Nigerian, probably need to be hoping you would be earning in the hundreds of thousands of dollars to live a comfortable life here per annum. And so it's just you can't just wake up and say you want to go out.
You know, we've said severally that being happy is an intentional measure that we should take, not once a week or on a daily basis. Your happiness is so key. We have some messages, but first off, Barrister Choma says she'd like to speak to loneliness in foreign lands.
I can relate to this 100%. When I moved to the UK in 2015 for a master's program, you know how it is in the UK. Everybody's minding their business, working on their own, not as friendly, as warm as we are here. And it was a culture shock for me. I went there with two of my younger children, and I was like, what's going on here? But I made up my mind I would show myself friendly. That's what the Bible says. Show yourself friendly to make friends. So I would go out of my way. I found groups where people would meet together in churches or in different places to talk, people that had other young children. I joined associations on campus. I, tried to be friendly with my classmates. I went on excursions. I was very intentional about trying to make myself friendly and being friendly to people, in my environment. At the end of the day, I made friends with my neighbor. I had this neighbor who wouldn't talk to me. Easter, I gave her a card. Something came for her in the mail. I took it for her. And before she knew what was happening, she started opening up to me. And she was like, what kind of woman is this? Why are you being so nice to me? When I was leaving back to her, she sent me a card saying, to the nicest neighbor I ever had. I wish you well. So sometimes we have to make the extra effort, especially in a different culture. They're not used to people always smiling. They're like, what's wrong with this one? Why are you opening your teeth like this? But I like people. I'm a very social being. So I went out of my way. I went to church. I was going for gatherings and events. You cannot sit down in your apartment or flat and say nobody's talking to you. They will not talk to you because you're by yourself. At the bus stop, I'll say hi. I saw you last week. Hello, my name is Chioma. And that was how I was doing those things. Social media, again, is a great place. It can be dangerous, but with the right groups, you can meet amazing people that have things in common with you. So it's something you can overcome. It takes effort, though, but it's very possible to overcome it.
Yeah. No, please, go on.
Go ahead.
Okay, I just wanted to pinpoint some things. Yeah. Some people have issues that are keeping them down. For example, I mentioned about menopause. When you're going through menopause, you have your mood swings. So sometimes somebody is greeting you when you're experiencing all these funny things within yourself. So you are not in the mood. Yeah. And so you may not behave rightly. Also, there are some issues that you may be going through. Maybe you're having a very serious issue with your husband, or you're having very serious issue with a child that is into drugs, or something like this, and you are really heavy in your heart. So somebody may even greet you, and you didn't even realize that the person is greeting you. So we have to make allowances. And then when you think you have a problem, the person you are greeting, the problem will be greater than your own. And then you're not trying to judge the person. So in just like my sister said, patience, and then you go with the mind. It can be positive, it can be negative. All I know is that I want to reach out to mankind and you just keep going and don't get discouraged.
Yeah,
it's an amazing philosophy, and we're learning. You know, life is learning.
Yes.
And it is good that if we find that areas where we're having challenges or we're not doing things right, we can make modifications when necessary.
Yes.
Someone is giving us a very touchy message here. They didn't tell us his name, and we understand why. He says, I've been spending a lot of money on my treatment, about my health. I'm living with prostate cancer, and I've expended a lot of resources to the point where I'm broke. So I don't have any money. I'm not doing well. I can't share my problem with anyone, and I don't know where to turn to at this time. Prof.
Yes, he has mentioned his issue there. The problem is that he keeps to himself. You see, when you have a challenge, you need to come out, talking to people. You see, the issue of prostate cancer can even be cured through herbal. That if you get it, almost free.
Wow.
But you should be able to talk to people.
Reach out.
Then you can't die in silence. A problem that's shared is half solved already. So I just want to encourage the person that he should be able to talk out. Talk to your parents if you have parents at home, or elderly people are in the village. If you don't have money to spend on the hospital, then you can do it through herbal healings, and you surely be cured.
I also have something to say here. There's some medications I take that are very, very expensive, and it was like affecting my finances. And what I did was to go to a medical doctor who is a friend. And I said, look, this medication is very expensive. I have no choice. I have to use it for now. But what do I do? It was through her that I realized that medicines made by different companies attract different prices.
True.
Yes.
True. Yes.
And it is exactly the same thing.
Yes.
And it does exactly the same. Just the branding.
Just the branding.
You cannot believe a medication of 94,000. I started getting it for as little as 9,000 naira.
Wow.
So, yes.
I have to scream, sorry.
Wow.
So it's so branding. Branding goes a long way.
Wow.
It's just like clothes too. If you go and buy designer, whatever, okay, the signature is there and stuff. But that doesn't make you the best person. Somebody can wear something and they will even appreciate it more than you. These medicines do exactly the same thing.
Barrister Choma,
yes, please.
There are many issues here, but let's I like what patient shared earlier. Rejection is tough to handle, even as adults.
Yes.
And teaching our children, how to even handle it is another detour we have to make. What ought we to tell ourselves? Perhaps you go to somebody, you say, you try to open up, and then based on facts and figures you see, let me know that the person is not interested in having a second meetup. How ought you to handle it? Because you want to also do that with other people. But that first example scenario,
yes, let me add to what Thomas said. We look at it also from the perspective of a young lady who has gone on a first date with someone. But a lot of women are broken for this reason. Somebody shows interest, they go on a first date, the person doesn't come back again. So how should she handle it?
What I always say, tell people and tell yourself, it's not about me, it's about you. I'm not the one that has the problem. I haven't done anything wrong. Maybe you don't like, maybe you're having a bad day. And we have to help our children to by building confidence in them. Educate them. Look, when you talk to someone the first day, maybe they're not interested. Maybe there's something they're going through. As you examine yourself, you didn't do anything wrong in that meeting. Did you do anything that turned the person off or anything? If not, always have that confidence. Confidence is such an important tool for any individual. Because you will get rejection in life. You will get rejected by jobs, people, experiences. It happens all the time. You apply to schools and then only one will admit you. It happens all the time. It's not really about you. And they'll tell you, you wrote well and all that, but there's so many other people. Something stood out. Maybe they're having a bad day when they saw your own application. And they said, no, I don't like, or your writing turned them off, whatever it is. But always tell yourself, it's not about me. It's probably about you. Have confidence, build your self-worth, understand who you are, who God has made you to be. And for us, our parents, in your children, please begin to instill that confidence in them so that they feel good about themselves, because the world is brutal. That's the way life is. The world is brutal. You won't be the one who just don't like you for no good reason. Because people say why they don't like you. Maybe you remind them of one in-law that was wicked to them in the past. They don't know why they don't like you. But always remind yourself that, look, I'm okay. And continue to improve yourself. If you have any flaws, like we all do, work on yourself. Work on your character. Work on your virtues and your values and make yourself better. What she just said is very important. And parents should know that relating with your children, you're doing yourself a favor. The reason why, when you get very old and your children reject you, it is the most painful and lonely thing that can happen to any living being. Especially in this African content.
Or is that common? I mean, is that happening?
It happens a lot. Very well. They will not call you. They will not give you any money. They will not do anything. They don't care about you. Some of them, even if you call them, they will tell you they're busy. They're just busy with their own families. So what am I saying here? It is the most painful thing, especially when you are getting very old, in your 60, maybe going to 70. You don't have too much strength. You need people around you, and your children turn their backs on you. It is the most painful thing I know. So the truth of the matter is that bonding with your children is very, very important to eradicate loneliness at the tail end of your life.
And good they think that, because some parents need coaching. It's not that parents were intentional about keeping the children at distance. At that time, they hardly knew that what they were doing was going to cause that.
Yes.
So nowadays, parents too can also gather together and mirror and share experiences. Even as we push our kids to be social, we parents too can mix and share ideas and learn, either formally or informally. Well, that break beckons now. It's weekend, though. Thank you for all the messages. You are spending real time and sharing real experiences, and we'll do our best to share them after this break. Don't go away.
The conversation is hot and it's getting hotter. And like Thelma told you, your messages are making our show even richer. Let's go to Prof. Prof, it's all about how we get these connections going in our families, so we don't have lonely mothers, lonely fathers after spending all your years providing, putting food on the table. At the tail end of your life, you're alone. What do we do?
Yes, we know this wasn't there from the beginning. How did it come? How do we get ourselves here? When you look at the situation in the country today, everybody is pursuing wealth. And parents are pursuing wealth, giving to their children without really showing love. You see, what we can really do to resolve this issue is to go back. Take for instance, let me give an example. There is this family meeting, though every year for the children that have gone, they must come back home. Probably on December 26th. They will come with their spouses, their children. There must be meeting. So number two, if just for a weekend, maybe every Sunday, do video call with the children. Compulsorily, you must do video call with them. You can spend hours doing that. It's just to keep the bonding together. So we need to go back. It is we that nurture these children. We should nurture this relationship as well. Because they are busy, challenged everywhere. You know, they are not talking. You don't really know what they are facing. Some of them that even lives in Abuja with their, outside their parents, we don't even know what they are facing. Parents should go back now, calling them. If they don't call, you call them. Call them. We really need to invest in this relationship. So, because of tomorrow.
We're being asked to take the next feature. It says, good morning, house. Well done. You are doing an amazing job. We are learning. Please, my friend is a widow. And she's having an affair with a younger person. And that person got married to another younger person. A lovely young lady. And now my friend is lonely. She's devastated. She's broken. And she's thinking that all men are fake. And really her husband whose demise was genuine. But we know that there are many women who have married younger men who are happy. But my friend has now put all men, young and old, in the same category. And she's getting more depressed by the day. Help me. Help us.
I can talk.
What can we do?
I can talk.
She needs help.
Dr. Taylor has gone through that experience. I mean, experience of
losing a husband.
But should we speak? We'll speak, you also speak,
yes.
and then we'll take spots.
Well, what I want to say is that, number one, well, I lost my husband many years ago, but I'm healed totally.
Yeah.
I thank God for that. Now, going out with a younger person comes with his own prices.
Yes.
Like she said, everything has the two sides of a coin. You go with a younger person, okay, he's more vibrant and he's always there for you, and maybe physically he's making you happy. But don't forget that he's still a young person, and he will still be attracted to younger people.
Keeping it real.
Keeping it real. For example, even if I'm married now, my age group over 60 now, I cannot compete with her. If my husband is dating her, what am I competing with?
I like that.
You know, women are competing. So the truth of the matter is that sometimes you have to face reality.
I love that.
And you tell yourself that, look, nobody carried me there. I decided to go with the younger. I cannot cope. So, but that doesn't mean that every other person. So in life, you can make mistakes. But the fact that you make mistakes doesn't mean you have to die in the mistake now.
Okay.
You get yourself together and you get out.
And you move on.
You move on with your life.
We've seen cases where elderly people or people in their 60s got married in their 50s or 40s, and they're living well.
It happens now.
So what? So is Prof now saying that because she's a widow, she must go for a widower?
You know, I like to,
Keeping it real.
Yes, you're keeping it real, but at the same time, there are people who have been divorced, who have married men, or who are widows, who have married men, who have never been married, they're happy. So it does happen. But the truth is that beyond her situation, it could have worked out. It did not work out. What do we now do? She has to move on. And that's why the place of counseling is so important. It's overlooked in our society.
That is where I was going.
Speak to somebody. Somebody will know to say, you see, look, it's not about you. Yes, you didn't like you, chose somebody else, but you know what, you're fantastic. Somebody else will love you the way you are. Somebody else will appreciate you. Anyways, try and get over the heartbreak. I know it's annoying. I know it's painful. I know you had hopes and dreams of this younger guy, but guess what? You have to move on.
Well, so they tell you breakfast in the morning. Enjoy your breakfast.
And go for lunch.
We're rounding off. One word from everyone.
Well, I think the most important thing is, number one, make sure that you don't allow anybody to tamper with your self-esteem. You are beautifully and wonderfully made. You're a great person. Believe in yourself. And above it all, believe in God.
Amen.
Prof?
Yeah. Loneliness is real. And happiness is real. To be lonely is a choice. But I want to encourage you to search for joy and be happy. It is when you are happy that you can fulfill your purpose in life. Thank you.
Barrister? So I like this quote. That there's water everywhere and not enough to drink. There are people everywhere and there is enough to drink. Be friendly, talk to somebody, teach your children to go out and talk. If you need to have a friend, talk to someone. You might get rejected, you might not. Believe in yourself and you will be able to achieve all you need to achieve in this life. Thank you so much.
For all here, hands together, always celebrating unity, togetherness, friendship, and we always say, God bless Nigeria.